You're used to magic. You pull out your phone, hit buy, and 24 hours later, a courier is at your door with a box. You don't even think about how that box got there. It seems like store shelves refill themselves like a magic tablecloth. But here's what the retail giants are keeping quiet about. The magic is over. The system we call global trade isn't a sturdy steel bridge connecting continents. It's a thin thread, stretched to its breaking point, hanging over an abyss. And right now, the elephants of geopolitics are beginning to dance on this thread. We lived in an era of great illusion, the illusion that the world is one big factory and the ocean a safe highway. We built our civilization on the principle of just in time. Factories don't keep parts in stock because storage costs money. Supermarkets don't keep more than 3 days worth of food. Everything is in motion. Everything is on the way. But what happens if the movement stops? There's no need to guess. The mathematics of logistics are cruel and merciless. If supplies are interrupted for just 48 hours, modern megacities will begin to experience shortages of fresh produce. Within 7 days, auto assembly lines will grind to a halt. Within 2 weeks, panic and looting will ensue. Think this is a script for a disaster movie? Look around. In 2020, a single virus showed us how fragile this structure is. But that was just a rehearsal. What's looming now is no temporary glitch. It's a systemic collapse. Imagine the human body. The circulatory system delivers oxygen to every cell. If you squeeze an artery in your neck, your brain will die within minutes. Global trade routes are the planet's arteries. The Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, the Strait of Malacca. 90% of everything you wear, eat, and use passes through these narrow passages. And today, tourniquets are being tightened on these arteries. The system's algorithms are set to hide such videos, so subscribe and like now. It's the only way to ensure the next warning reaches you before disaster strikes. Leave a comment if you're ready to learn what others aren't telling you. We are entering an era when geography is once again becoming destiny. And that destiny looks bleak. Look at the map. The Red Sea isn't just water. It's a conduit for 12% of global trade. And it's become a shooting gallery where rebels with cheap drones sink ships worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Insurance companies, those cynical bookmakers of the financial world, have figured it out. They've raised their insurance prices tenfold. What does the captain do when the insurance becomes unaffordable? He turns the ship around. He sails around Africa, like in the days of Vasco da Gama. This adds 10,000 kilometers to the route. This burns millions of dollars in fuel. This delays the cargo for 2 weeks. You might say, so what? I'll wait a couple extra weeks for my new phone. You don't understand. In economics, time isn't just money. Time is blood. A 2-week delay means the factory won't receive the chip on time. Without the chip, the car can't be assembled. If the car can't be assembled, the factory shuts down. Workers are sent home without pay. They stop buying food from the store. The store goes bankrupt. It's a domino effect that starts with one rocket in the desert and ends with an empty refrigerator in your home. We've become accustomed to cheap things. A $5 t-shirt, a $300 gadget. This cheapness was paid for by 2 things: cheap labor in Asia and cheap, secure logistics. Both of these resources are exhausted. The world is splitting into blocks. Globalization, the great project of the last 30 years, is dead. Its corpse still twitches, but resuscitation is impossible. Countries are building walls, imposing sanctions and embargoes. Every container that floats towards you now floats through a minefield, and you'll have to pay for this risk. Who? You. The inflation you see now isn't the result of corporate greed. It's a tax on chaos. It's the price we pay for the destruction of a unified world. The sleepers still believe that prices will return when everything calms down. The professionals know there will be no calm. We are entering a decade of storms. The illusion of prosperity fades like a mirage in the desert. The shelves are still full, but that's inertia. It's an echo of the past. The ships that were supposed to bring you the future have already turned around or sunk. Are you ready to live in a world where buying doesn't mean getting? Where availability is more important than price? Welcome to a new reality. A reality of empty containers and closed ports. Let's stop looking at stock market charts and look at a real map of the world. A map where there are no borders drawn by politicians, but only bottlenecks through which the global economy breathes. These points are called choke points. If they are blocked, the entire body will begin to suffocate. And right now, someone's hands are squeezing this throat. Point number 1, the Strait of Hormuz, 21 kilometers wide. Just 21 kilometers separate the world from energy collapse. 20% of all the oil consumed by humanity passes through this crack. Every 5th liter of gasoline in your tank has passed through here. Imagine you're the captain of a tanker. Your ship is a floating bomb filled with millions of barrels of oil. On one side is Iran, on the other, the Arab monarchies. And all around you is water laced with naval mines. One wrong move, one provocation, one sunken tanker, and the strait is closed. The price of oil soars to $200 a barrel. The global economy grinds to a halt, like a car crashing into a wall. Point number 2, the Strait of Malacca. This is Asia's main artery. 40% of global trade passes through it. It's the route through which China gets its energy and ships its goods to you. If a conflict breaks out here, and tensions in the South China Sea are growing by the day, the shelves of Walmart and Amazon would be empty faster than you can say shortage. Point number 3, Panama Canal. The enemy here isn't man, it's nature. Drought has turned this engineering masterpiece into a drying stream. Ships wait weeks to pass through the locks, and when the water recedes, the cost of passage skyrockets. This is climate-induced inflation. We live in a world where logistics has become a battlefield. In 2026, ensuring cargo crossing the Red Sea will cost more than the cargo itself. It's a mathematical fact. Insurers aren't charitable foundations. They calculate the risk. And the risk tells them, don't sail there. What does this mean for you? This means longer routes. Goods take longer to arrive. Goods cost more. But the worst thing is that the goods might not arrive at all. Imagine a factory in Germany waiting for spare parts from Taiwan. If the Taiwan Strait is blocked by military exercises or, God forbid, a real conflict, the factory will shut down, not because it's bad, but because its lifeline has been cut. We built a world where efficiency was more important than safety. We eliminated warehouses to save money. We moved production to the other side of the planet to save on wages. Now we are paying the price for this greed. Geopolitics is back, and it's with a vengeance. Countries are starting to use trade as a weapon. Do you think sanctions are a tool of punishment? No, they're a tool of siege. We're returning to the Middle Ages, when castles were taken by starvation. Only now, instead of castles, there are entire continents. China controls the processing of 90% of rare earth metals. Without them, not a single F-35 fighter jet would fly. Not a single Tesla would drive. What would happen if Beijing simply turned off the tap? The US controls chip production technology. What would happen if they banned supplies to entire regions? This is called the weaponization of trade, the transformation of trade into a weapon. And in this war, there are no neutral waters. Your container of sneakers or medications is a legitimate target, or a hostage. We are entering an era where the world map is a map of minefields. A logistician must now be a military strategist. They must know where aircraft carriers are stationed, where drones are flying, and where pirates are hunting. And every change on this map, every new cross that means dangerous, is a blow to your standard of living. You're used to the world being open, that you can fly anywhere and buy anything. Forget it. The doors are closing. An iron curtain is descending not only between countries, but also between economic blocs. In 2027, you can only buy goods produced within your alliance, and they can only be delivered via routes controlled by your fleet. The global ocean, which was a symbol of freedom, is turning into divided firing sectors. And if your vital cargo ends up in someone else's sector, it's all over. Let's take a break from maps and talk about the periodic table, because that's where the script for our downfall is being written right now. We live in a digital world, but this digital world rests on a physical foundation. Your iPhone isn't just code, it's lithium, cobalt, gold, tantalum. Your electric car isn't just Elon Musk's idea, it's 80 kilograms of copper. And here's the harsh truth that green politicians are keeping quiet about. We don't have that many resources. Physically, no. In 2026, the world will face a copper shortage of 150,000 tons. This isn't just a figure in a stock market analyst's report. It's hundreds of thousands of motors that won't be assembled. It's thousands of kilometers of power lines that won't be laid. Copper is the metal of electrification. No copper, no electricity. No electricity, welcome to the 19th century. But the problem isn't just that there's a shortage of ore. The problem is where it's located. We return to the topic of the blockade. Resources are distributed unevenly across the planet, and the countries that rely on these resources are beginning to realize they have the world by the throat. This is called resource nationalism. Indonesia bans nickel ore exports. It's saying, you want our nickel? Build your factories here. Chile and Peru, the world's main copper reserves, are raising taxes and threatening to nationalize mines. China controls lithium and cobalt supply chains as tightly as a drug cartel controls its routes. We're used to thinking that money solves everything, that if we have dollars, we can buy anything. Naive. In times of shortages, money loses its power. In times of shortages, the only thing that matters is the availability of goods in stock. Try explaining to your electric car that you have plenty of money in your account when you can't find a new battery. Try explaining to the power grid that you're rich when your transformer has burned out and there's no replacement because the factory in China has stopped shipping parts. The deficit spiral is tightening. No chips. Auto factories are shutting down. No cars. Logistics costs are rising. Expensive logistics are killing retailers' margins. Retailers are raising food prices. It's a vicious circle, and it's getting tighter. Now add the factor of war to this. Remember World War II. What were the main battles fought for? Oil, rubber, steel. World War III, if it breaks out, or more accurately, when it enters its hot phase, will be a war over microchips and rare earth metals. Taiwan produces 90% of the world's most advanced chips. 90%. This is the most dangerous concentration of risk in human history. If this island were blockaded tomorrow, the global economy would lose trillions of dollars in the first month. Your smartphone, your laptop, your car, your smart refrigerator, they'll all turn into pumpkins. Because their brains are made in one spot on the planet, under the crosshairs of thousands of missiles. We've built an incredibly complex civilization, but we've forgotten to create a safety margin for it. We have no strategic reserves of critical minerals. America sold its strategic oil. Europe closed its coal mines and nuclear power plants, hoping for wind and sun. But wind turbines need rare earth elements, and solar panels need polysilicon. And guess who controls these chains? We voluntarily handed over the keys to our future to others. And now, as the world divides into warring camps, we realize with horror, we can't even manufacture a toaster ourselves, let alone a precision weapon. The resource shortage has already begun. Commodity prices will rise in leaps and bounds, not linearly. Today, copper costs $10,000, tomorrow $15,000. And this isn't speculation. This is panic buying, as buyers realize that those who don't buy physical metal today will be left empty-handed tomorrow. We are entering an era where owning a mine is more important than owning a bank. When a real asset, a piece of copper, a barrel of oil, a sack of grain, is worth more than any obligations and derivatives, the world is becoming heavy, cumbersome, material. And in this material world, the one who has the resources will win, not the one who has the printing press. We've reached the end, the moment when geopolitics reaches into your pocket and takes away everything you thought was yours. You've heard the word globalization. You've been told it's a good thing. Globalization has given us 30 years of low inflation. It's given us cheap clothing, affordable electronics, and food from all over the world on the shelves of your local supermarket. But this generosity came at a price. We paid for it with dependence. Now globalization is dead. It wasn't economists who killed it, it was generals. And on its grave rises a new monster, isolation inflation. What does this mean for you? Forget the word cheap. There will be no more cheap things, ever. A $5 t-shirt existed only because cotton was grown in one country, made in another, and shipped to a third for next to nothing. Now the cotton is under sanctions, the factory is without electricity, and the ship is sailing around Africa. A t-shirt now costs $20. This isn't a temporary price hike, it's a new structure of reality. We are entering a world of trade blocks, a world of walls. If you live in the West, you'll only be able to buy products from friendly countries. That circle is narrow, and labor there is expensive, so prices will rise. If you live in the East, you'll have the resources, but you won't have the technology. This means quality will decline, and shortages of complex goods will become the norm. The global market is disintegrating into fragments, and in each fragment, life will become poorer. Economists call this stagflation, rising prices while the economy is contracting. It's the worst nightmare imaginable. Your income will fall or stagnate because factories are shutting down due to a shortage of parts, and your expenses will rise because every product is now a trophy won in a logistical war. The sleepers are still waiting for central banks to save the situation. They'll raise rates and beat inflation. Fools. You can kill demand with a bet, but you can't print oil with a bet. You can't build a chip factory with a bet. You can't clear mines from the Red Sea with a bet. The tools of the past do not work in the war of the future. We are on the threshold of a great simplification. Complex supply chains are breaking down. Store selection will shrink dramatically. You'll be choosing from 2 types of cheese, not 50. Not 10 car models, but the one you could assemble from readily available parts. Wealth in the new world changes its nature. Previously, the rich were those who had numbers in their bank account. In the world of the blockade, these numbers are just pixels. The one who has reserves will become rich. Real reserves. Food, energy, medicine, tools. A warehouse in your basement is now safer than a deposit in a Swiss bank. A generator in your garage is more important than Tesla shares in your portfolio. Tick, tock. The global supermarket's time is up. The lights go out, the blinds are drawn. Did you manage to buy what you need to live? Or were you hoping for delivery tomorrow? There will be no delivery tomorrow. The courier will not arrive. Welcome to the world of closed doors.